Are you guys ready?
Ready.
Nano?
Yes.
He's looking at the software. Okay. Well, welcome back to Ordinary Love, a podcast where we sit down with couples and talk about their relationships. And here I am sitting with my Nano and Tita Mims, but my aunt and my uncle. Maybe we can start with you guys just introducing yourselves.
I'm Ricky. I'm Ina's uncle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So your mom's brother.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm Melissa, or Mims, to friends and family. And I'm married to Karina's uncle.
Yeah, so funny story. When I was young, I couldn't pronounce Ninong, right? Ninong and Ninang, which means godparent
Yep.
in Tagalog. So I would say Nano and Nani instead, and it just kind of stuck. So now, since I was the eldest grandchild, every single other grandchild after me used the same names. Why did we start calling you Tita Mims? Is that your nickname?
That's my childhood nickname is Mimi.
Oh.
And then, of course, because we're Filipino, we have to shorten everything
shorten
even more.
everything. Yeah.
So
As if that
it's
wasn't
just-
short enough.
I
Right.
know, it's already.
It's 2 syllables. It's too hard. So Mims is the shortest. Me, maybe somebody will say.
Me.
Yeah.
Mims is cute though. Maybe it would be cool to also hear about the babies, or not so babies anymore.
Not so babies. Sophia, our older child, is 13. And
She 13?
she's 13.
That's
girl.
wild. She was just like 9.
She's, yeah. So she'll be going to high school next year.
That's wild.
And Caleb is 9. So he's in
Oh,
4th grade
Caleb's
this
9.
year. Yeah.
Tita Mims, you've been in my life for a long time.
Yes.
So I don't actually remember much before you.
Aw.
I'd love to hear the full story, and don't spare us any details. You guys met just kind of like organically, right?
Yes. Can you tell us some more about your story, please?
What? You say it. Okay, fine. He does this all the time.
What?
He'll,
Why?
He'll say, I have a story to tell, and then he'll look at me and be like, go ahead. And I'm just like, you're telling the story, not me. There will be my version, and then he may or may not have a slightly different version. of
Oh,
events.
okay. So there's like controversy.
There-
No. Maybe.
Maybe.
Perhaps. A little
Um,
foggy.
yeah.
Wait, so when was this? When did you guys meet?
So I moved to the Bay Area November 2006.
From where?
From New York.
Mm.
So I went to school in upstate New York and then moved to New York City and lived and worked there for a couple of years. Transferred with my architecture firm at the time because they have offices everywhere, and San Francisco was the headquarters. And my sister was having their first child down in LA. Did not want to live in LA. Sorry. Did not want to drive
Do not blame you.
that much.
Wait, so Tita Carissa was living in LA
Yeah.
before they moved to because they're in Texas now.
Yeah. So they used to live Eastern Empire.
Inland.
Inland Empire, sorry. Eastern Empire.
I
Too
know
much
just
fantasy books.
yeah.
Ina knows. But yeah, so I moved up here, so at least I'm a short flight away, so I could see who would be my niece, who's now, pre-med in college.
Stop.
Yeah,
Mm.
she is.
Gabby's at Baylor.
Gabby's at Baylor. She's a sophomore.
What?
Yeah.
I thought she was Sophia's 8. No.
No. Ethan is a year older, so her younger brother Ethan is a
Oh
year.
my gosh. Wow. The last time I saw them, they were
Yeah,
Oh,
babies.
middle school, maybe.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Anyway,
So-
sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, moved up here and started working at the same architecture firm but completely different office. Still late in 2006.
When I just happened to be looking for a graphic designer.
So my boss at the time was just like, "Hey, you're still starting out, and we have just like a really easy project for you. Our San Jose office is renovating, and the PM on that project is looking for a graphic designer to help with, the graphics in the office, and they're looking for the cheapest designer I had."
Oh, thanks.
And that just
Let me just make a
happened to
correction.
be me.
It's not the cheapest designer.
Oh.
A very friendly bill rate.
That's the nice way to put it. So, the one who will put the least amount of fee on the project. And that happened to be me.
So the cheapest option.
I was the cheapest option. I was the cheaper chicken at the time.
Wait, so how long had you been working at the company by then?
Maybe 2.5 years with a company.
And you were still in New York at the time?
I was already in San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I had just moved and they were kind of like starting to bring me on board on projects and was the least experienced on the team. So yeah, they put me on the project and the project manager happened to be this guy.
Oh, you were the project manager.
Yes, I was.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so all I know about their professions is that Tita Mim's your graphic designer.
Yes.
And Nano is an architect. But I didn't know you were the project manager. That sounds really official.
Yeah. And so we corresponded mostly by work email. And
Back then, we had no Zoom calls, no FaceTime.
yeah, there was no video conferencing.
There was nothing.
Oh my
it was
gosh.
all.
That was like ancient times.
It
Yeah.
was ancient. Yeah.
And in order to place an outside call, you had to dial 9 and then do your entire employee number and then project number, right? If it was long distance.
And then the phone number.
And then the phone number.
I would get it wrong like 5 times.
All the time. Every single time. Was that early 2007 when we were closing up the project randomly? Ricky's like, Melissa, you wouldn't happen to be Filipino, would you? And I'm just like, it's kind of, I guess, I mean, was kind of obvious maybe from
What's your...
my maiden name was Santos.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
well, and so here's the other thing. Our company had an intranet, and in the intranet, you had like every single employee in their bio. So you could click on their bio, see their, their role, a photo of them if they had it, so you could see what they looked like. And so we kind of joke that that's like an early dating
MySpace.
app. Yeah, early Facebook.
Wasn't that what Facebook was like supposed to be, but for college students?
Yes. So this was Facebook for our company. And
Oh,
it's,
okay.
it's like one of the largest, if not the largest, architecture firm globally.
So he asked you if you were
He
Filipino.
asked me if I was Filipino, and I said yes. And he's like, I know you recently moved here. Are you craving Filipino food? And I said, of
You made the
course.
first move, Nano?
No, it was a very friendly message. Kind of like,
Oh,
"Hey."
so the intentions were friendly.
Yeah, I mean,
we've
I
never met.
didn't take it as
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
being
okay.
like romantic or anything. I
Yeah.
just thought, okay, fine. Coworker knows that I'm new here.
Yeah, because usually whenever we finish a project, we'd like to have like a team lunch,
Yeah.
team dinner, whatever. But since she was in San Francisco, right, there was really no opportunity for
You
that.
didn't say it was a team lunch.
Okay.
So it's like
I
hey,
jumped the
you know
gun a
what?
little bit
Yeah.
then.
It wasn't a team. It was just you and me, so it wasn't a team. lunch.
No, there was no team.
No, there was no team. But yeah, there was really nothing behind it. It was really more, hey, you know what? So she's here, she's new, maybe she's looking for places, because by this time, it would have been more than 6 months since you had moved, right?
I don't know. We were just like emailing each other, like in a, just a collegial, like friendly way, and we just happened to find out that we're both, because we're both nerds that way, that we're
In
both really
Egyptology.
into, yes, like Egyptology was a really, like ancient cultures was like a really big thing
What?
for both
Yeah.
of us.
That's so funny. I did
And
not know this.
Yeah.
So he's like, in San Jose, there's the Rosicrucian Museum. They have a lot of like Egyptian artifacts, and we could go there after we have Filipino lunch. And I'm just like, well, how am I gonna say no? Like, it's
I
like
know you're already
two
here.
of my favorite things.
Yeah. So we did.
So
Wow.
So,
How
so
long
when-
had you been working together at this time? Like, how long was the project that you guys were doing?
Oh, the project was quick.
It was really
like,
quick.
We're talking like maybe a couple of weeks
Oh, okay.
for
Yeah.
my part of the project,
for her part.
because
Oh,
it was
okay.
like the end.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
right.
It's like everything was pretty much built. It was just sort of like
Mhm.
We
just
needed,
the like
we
the
needed
finishing
icing on the
touches,
cake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when people ask us, sometimes it's kind of like this joke, right? When people say, "Hey, where'd you guys meet?" I would always say,
we met at BART.
Why?
because I picked her up at BART.
Oh my god.
I didn't have a car.
She didn't
So
have a car.
technically, yes, you guys met,
So we
The
met
first time we
at
in
Fremont
person.
BART.
Yes.
but like you guys knew of each other.
Right.
Well, we did, but like we've never seen each other.
We met each other in person.
Yeah.
But like had you seen like pictures of each other?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it
Vic-
wasn't like when you met for the first time, it was like you're seeing.
Like we didn't know what each other looked
right,
like.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Although I will say the picture that Rikki had, it was Rikki on Halloween, because they take Halloween really, you know this.
They
how
do.
seriously
I can
they
add
take
a photo
Halloween.
of multiple photos.
Yes.
because it's like every year.
In their office, and it was him in a blow-up ballerina costume, a pink
Complete with-
tutu,
Complete with tiara.
tiara,
This was your profile picture. Your
Yes.
professional profile picture.
Yes.
intranet. So it's like
Intranet.
everybody within the company doesn't go outside. But yes,
You have to
eyebrows,
send me that photo.
like blue eyeshadow, the works.
Wow.
And it was like an oversized suit. And I was like, well, I can, but I can't also really tell what he looks like from it. So I'm just like, whatever. If anything, at least this guy has a great sense of humor.
So you got off BART.
I got off BART.
You were looking for a guy that vaguely resembled a blue ballerina or pink ballerina.
Yes.
In his photo.
Yes.
That's
And
so
he's
funny.
like, so I call his phone and he's just like, I'm here in the silver rodeo. I can't tell one car from another unless I can't tell a make of a car. Obviously, fits whatever, Nissan, Mazda. And he's just like, the rodeo. And he's like getting frustrated. So am I. And he's like literally parked right there in front of me. And I'm just like, okay, dude, you should have just said the silver SUV. That's right.
Or just get out of the car now.
I know.
Yeah.
I didn't get out of the car.
You
No,
did
I
not.
I did.
After?
I did. get
Once
out
she
of the car.
found
I
you?
give you a hug.
It's also true.
I give you a hug. I'm a hugger.
He's a hugger.
Really? I hug you all the time because we're family, but I didn't know that you were
I'm a
like
hugger.
He's
hugger.
very much a
Really?
hugger. And
Are you?
I think maybe because I wasn't born and raised here, I feel like it's a very, very American thing to hug somebody when you
Mm.
first meet them,
Mm-hmm.
which for me is odd. I return the hug because it would be rude not to. But yeah.
Wait, sorry to backtrack just a little like tangent, but like you went to college in New York,
Yes.
but then was that the first time you had lived here in the US?
Yes. So, I mean, we visited family when I was like 8, and we stayed here for a couple of months just doing like
Mhm.
tourist things because my mom's brothers lived in
Mm.
Virginia and New York.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like when it came to college, my parents were like, you could go to school in the Philippines, and I applied and got into the college there. But they're like, you could apply to the States too, and they're like, but there's a certain section of the U.S. that you can apply to because that's where you're closest to family. So it was like Virginia
okay.
and up, and
Right.
nowhere else.
Okay. So you didn't like even consider California?
No.
Like it wasn't even an option.
No. Also because my sister was already in Syracuse, so she was getting her second bachelor's degree.
Oh. Wow.
She's
She's so smart.
so smart.
Okay, so you were like still kind of adjusting to
Oh yeah.
to living in America, and you had just moved to San Francisco, which is like very different than New York.
Yes. And yeah, and I think it's also like the idea of like American dating, which is so different from Filipino dating, or like what I understood to be Filipino dating.
How though?
Um,
I'm curious. I actually don't know very much about like dating in the Philippines.
how would you describe? It's less dating, it's more courting.
It's more courting than anything else. Yeah.
I mean, it's the Philippines, so like it's small and people know each other, so it tends to be people within your circle or people you meet in school, and you kind of randomly vet them through like friends and family. Like, hey, do you know so and so? Who knows so and so? And when we get to that part, you'll see like, yes, it's true. When my parents asked around, they actually found somebody in their proximity who knows your family.
Oh, I
And
can't
we're
wait to
able-
hear about this.
Yeah. So that Filipino network is a real thing.
Wow. Okay. Okay. And then what? Like, how does that compare to here? Like at the time, I guess. How does that compare to here?
2004, 2005, when I was in New York, like, yeah, it's a big city. Like,
Oh,
how else
yeah.
do you meet other people? Yeah, there's like the start of like Match.com.
Oh.
So they did like, free 6
eHarmony.
months. And eHarmony you had to pay
eHarmony.
for, though. Match had like the first 6 months free. And if you didn't find somebody, they would refund you or something like that.
There was like an incentive.
There was an incentive to sign
Yeah,
up.
that's so interesting.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I did that and, didn't work out.
Obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah.
There is, I think the difference I found between like dating in the Philippines, I guess before, I'm sure it's different now too,
Yeah.
was that the intent was there, like you knew that the guy liked you because he was obviously like pursuing you.
Uh-huh.
He asked your friends about you, or he asked his friends to ask their friends about you.
Oh, and you knew because they would like tell you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So you knew he was interested. I think the difficulty I had with American dating is like there's always like it's the first date. Oh, sure, if he asks me out for a second time, that means he might like me.
Right, there's like
But
more uncertainty.
there's more uncertainty.
Yeah.
Or as I found out when I was dating, they could still be seeing other people while they're starting to see
Oh,
you.
yeah, that is
Like
a-
you're not exclusive
for sure
until you
establish
decide
it. Yeah.
you have the DTR
Until you have the DTI.
and decide you're exclusive.
What is DTR?
The define the relationship
Oh my
talk.
gosh. Is this a Gen Z thing that I don't know about?
Probably. It probably is.
Okay, wait, where were we? So we haven't even gotten to the museum yet.
No.
Or the food.
We got in
So
the car.
we're in Fremont.
Yeah, we're in Fremont.
We're in Fremont Park.
Yeah, she finally found your car.
Yes.
Yeah, she found my car.
Give me a hug.
And gave her a hug and took her to the best Filipino restaurant that
That's
I could
right.
find.
The finest.
Toppings.
Yep.
Yes, I knew it.
Toppings 2.
Toppings 2 in Santa Clara.
Nope.
2 is in Union City.
Union City.
Okay, so Toppings 2. I knew it. As soon as it's the finest
It's the
Filipino
finest.
restaurant.
Just so your viewers know, it's actually not the finest, but it's like the closest to
home.
To home, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
home cooking.
Yeah, whenever
it's by no means like a fancy place, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I know, but that's the charm of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a total hole in the wall, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we went to Toppings.
Mm-hmm.
She had the fish.
See,
Bangos.
clearly not a date because who
Yeah.
who
has
gets
fish
sizzling
on their
fish
first date?
on their
And
first date?
it was a sizzling plate.
Yeah.
So
you smell like
smoky,
fish.
Oh my god.
right? Like yeah.
I did not think it was a date.
No.
Right.
Did
And then
you think
I
it was
had-
a date?
No. I had the tocino.
Of course.
So clearly, same thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so you got the vinegar, you got
yeah.
the
Tocino was like just like a step down from Longanisa.
oh well,
You don't
Yes.
get the
Yeah.
burp and the
Yeah.
breath afterwards,
Yeah.
but it's close.
Right.
So that wasn't a date.
Mhm.
It was really more like
just like
here's home
friendly.
cooked food.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like community, I
yeah,
think,
yeah.
like
For sure.
Filipinos
Yeah.
For sure.
do
Yeah.
when you feel like there's a stray Filipino who doesn't know other Filipinos.
And
You
that's
just
just
like
how it
adopt
is, right?
them.
It's like
Yeah.
the whole hospitality driven
Yeah.
mentality, right?
Yeah.
After lunch, we're like, okay, well, let's go to the Egyptian,
museum.
yeah, the museum.
Yeah.
So we did.
So
we
that was a
went-
little bit of a drive then.
yeah. We went down to
Yes.
San Jose,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And the museum, it's like $5.
Yes, it is.
$5 to get in,
Yeah.
right? So I sprung the extra
Not
$5.
an expensive.
Oh.
So it's like
oh.
I paid for her to get in.
Wow.
Right?
How
Such a-
chivalrous.
I
yeah.
know. Such a gentleman.
Such a gentleman,
Such a gentleman.
breaking the bank at $10, right? But so we were
Like
there.
her BART ticket
right?
was more.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. So we were there. We were there for a while.
Yeah. Like in a couple of hours,
Yeah.
maybe.
It's a
So-
big museum. Not a big museum, but there's a lot in there.
There's a lot to
There's
see.
a lot
Yeah.
in there. Yeah. So what was this? Like around 5 o'clock or something like that?
Yeah.
Like right. We were like, okay, well, you know what? Cool. Let me take you back to Fremont Park. As we were driving, right, we were passing by Milpitas.
The Great Mall.
Yeah. And I said, hey, by the way, what are you doing? Like, it's Saturday night, whatever. You want to catch a movie instead? And she's like, sure. So we go to the Great Mall. Totally like,
Wait, what movie did you see?
oh gosh, the best.
It was actually the best.
We didn't know, I didn't know what was playing. She didn't know what was playing. We just went.
That is so wild because usually when you want to see a movie, you have to like plan your whole day
Yeah.
around it.
No,
You know,
we just,
check the time.
it was like spontaneous, right? And
this was before
what
reserve
Oscar,
seating.
yeah, what
This was
Oscar,
what
what
Oscar
Oscar-
winner did
yeah.
we end up? It was that very, very famous movie by Mark Wahlberg called Shooter. That is what we watched.
it was Shooter.
Did you choose the movie?
That was
It's
the
just-
only movie.
I think it just happened to be the only one that
That was
starting
playing at the
and
time.
Yeah.
we didn't want to wait, or the other ones were like not interesting at all, and we're just like, yeah, sure, we'll watch Shooter.
Yeah, sure, we'll watch Shooter.
Oh
so we
my
watched Shooter,
gosh.
you know, with Danny Glover and all of those
That's right.
people.
Wait, okay. So when he asked about the movie, did it? Was there any vibes?
No,
No, it was still like a friendly like.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think it was just like we're already here, and I was just like, well, yeah, I'm not doing anything. Who else was I gonna watch a movie with, even if I were in
Shooter.
San Francisco?
Yeah. Shooter.
Shooter.
Really?
Who
Was
else
that?
am I gonna watch
I
Shooter
don't think
with?
that was a
I know.
romantic movie whatsoever.
Oh,
Whatever.
Yeah, it
gosh.
was great.
Yeah. It was
So
a
what
great
time
movie.
was that? Like 6?
Like around 5,
Five?
you know, 5, 6.
Yeah. So it's
By the
like
time it was done, it was
7
like-
something.
7, 7:30, 8.
Yeah. So after the movie, he's just like, I was just like, all right, so you can drop me off at Port, and he's like, it's getting dark. Like I
There's no
worry.
direct train because it was the weekend.
That's right. There's no direct train. You have to change at Bayfair. I don't want you to do that. I don't think it's safe. I'll drive you back to San Francisco. And I was like, well, I don't have to get on BART and wait at the station 20 minutes for the next train to come. Sure.
Okay, so Nano, was it like really just like a hospitality like community
Yeah,
or
it wasn't, like it was.
because like or was there like a party that's like she's really fun to hang out with. I want to keep hanging out with her for the rest of the day.
I think part of it, maybe that was that was a part of it too, right?
Maybe it wasn't like conscious thought.
Yeah, it was just like it was really spontaneous, and I am not a very spontaneous person. I
Nope.
need everything planned out.
Mm-hmm.
So this is very unlike you.
So this was totally unlike me.
When we got to San Francisco, he's like, well, it's about dinner time. So we might as well just get food.
Oh yeah, we had
pho.
we had fun on Poke, right?
Yes.
And I saw my ex-girlfriend, right?
I did not know it was his ex-girlfriend at the time. We like ran into somebody and I was just
Yes.
like, hey, whatever. And just
Yes.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
we did run
I
into your
totally
ex.
forgot about. Oh,
You didn't tell me it was
yes.
your ex until
yeah,
later.
yeah.
I am like blown away right now because you didn't have to drive her back to San Francisco.
No.
You didn't
No.
have to have dinner,
No.
No.
but you did. The universe is very weird
Strange.
sometimes.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. We had pho, and then as we were walking back to her place,
Right.
there was this group that was coming towards us and stuff, and I'm thinking,
Holy cow.
holy cow, that is my ex-girlfriend. So said hi and everything. And
Oh, you
whatever.
like had a conversation.
And then no, just kind of like pleasantries, and then we just kept on going. And I said, yeah, by the way, that was my ex-girlfriend.
And I was just like, oh, okay.
Anyway, took her home.
Yeah.
Proceeded to go home.
Hugged and then,
Went home.
yeah.
Okay, so
And that
that's
was
like
it.
the most like first date, non-first date I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I know.
It
There's
wasn't-
other
wasn't-
people. Everybody keeps saying they're just like, how did you not know there was a date? I was like, neither of us thought it was a date. We were just literally
And I
just.
think that was the beauty of it.
There's no pressure.
Like, because there's no pressure.
Right.
Right.
So you guys were able to like get to know each other,
Yeah.
kind of.
And like, just I don't know, talk freely. Like, yeah, I like to eat belly bones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I enjoy eating. Like that's like how it is when you're on a first date. You're like, I'll have like
Like a little dainty,
A little
like
dainty
a
thing.
feminine
Yeah.
looking
Right.
dish. Like I'm not gonna get like the burger or the
Plus the
steak
fact,
or
like
whatever.
if it was a first date, I
You wouldn't
really
have
highly
taken to-
doubt I would have taken her to toppings.
You wouldn't have
There's
seen
no
Shooter.
way. I wouldn't have seen. I probably wouldn't have like
gone to a movie.
gone to a movie.
Right.
because
right?
then you're
You
not
know, 'cause that
talking
was
to
like-
each other. Yeah.
Oh, the Boba's here.
Boba's here.
Boba break,
Okay,
let
one
me-
sec.
Okay.
Hello?
So we are at the point where you guys had your non-first date, first date.
Yes.
So then what happened after?
I don't know. Maybe we were just chatting like
Yeah, on the phone,
through email.
email, phone.
Yeah.
So like we met April,
Yeah.
right? And then July, I bought my car.
Yes.
CRV?
Yes.
Oh,
It was like his first brand new car.
That was the very first car I ever bought with my own
And
money.
he was so excited that he could get a brand new car.
with the bike rack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he could go cycling, take it cycling on the weekends, go on drives. And he's like, do you want to come over and take a drive in my new car? I'm like, yeah, sure.
We went to Monterey.
Yes.
Take a drive. That's like
Well, he's like, have you ever been to like Monterey, Carmel? And of course I hadn't because I
Right.
didn't have
Yeah.
a car.
yeah.
And back then, like we're members at the aquarium, right?
Really?
So I had, my membership plus a guest pass. For me, it was like, I'm not really spending much of anything at this point because I
Yeah.
already have my membership. We get to break in my car, right? Drive down the coast
Yeah.
and stuff. So yeah. So that was our first photo together
Yes.
Where was
That was our
it? Where
first-
was the photo at the aquarium?
Yes.
at the aquarium. Yeah.
This was not a date. This was
No.
just, it wasn't like
we
established
still
as a
didn't
date.
think it was a date.
No,
Okay.
I don't think we. Yeah, I don't think we even thought it was a date. It was more like, hey, I have a new car.
I have a new car and I have a guest pass
Yeah,
Yes.
to the aquarium.
yeah.
It's
Just
just the
like Big
aquarium
Man
is
on
like such a
campus, right?
romantic place, right?
Hmm?
Or is that just in like Japanese anime?
No, it's. I mean, it is an inherently romantic. It's nice. It's calm. It's peaceful.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, like as friends, like we enjoyed the same things.
Right. Right.
Like, yeah, I'll go to any museum. Because I'm a nerd. Like, I will go to whatever and talk about.
Yeah. And I don't have to pay? Like
And it's free
Yeah.
instead of paying the however like 25,
it's expensive. Well, I mean,
30
It's
bucks
expensive.
to go in.
Well, it's
I think-
$75 now.
oh my god.
Absolutely.
Was
Yeah.
that the poop rock day or was it not the poop rock day?
That was the poop rock day.
So we went to 17 Mile Drive
Mhm.
too, because he's just like, let's just do like the whole California coastal thing on the way to Monterey and Carmel. And so we went down 17 Mile Drive. And for those of you who are familiar with it, there are all these rocks in the middle of the ocean, like just off the coast. And they are white because all the seagulls and all the other birds poop on them constantly. And so we were, just like staring out at the rocks, and at the exact same moment, with the exact same tone, without even looking at each other, we just yelled out, "Poop rock!" And I was just like, that was like the weirdest, I don't know,
And
like
you didn't
brain.
even know anything
No,
about it.
No,
No, it was like
we've
the-
never talked about anything of that sort.
like who names it a poop rock?
Yeah.
First of all, us. But
Oh wait, that's so funny. That's not actually what it's called.
no, I don't think that's what it's called.
I don't know. I've called
No.
it poop rock,
yeah,
Yeah,
but maybe
And-
because of you.
and we both happen to say it at the same time
That's so funny.
with the same
with the same tone. we
and
were just both
pitch.
like poop rock.
Wait, okay, do it now.
poop rock.
Yeah,
That's the tone. That's so cute.
That's pretty much. And we just kind of looked at each other and laughed, and we were just like, "That's so silly."
and that was when she found out that she wanted to marry me.
No, I mean that's when I was just like, for me, it's just like that's so weird that you have that connection
Same
with
thought.
somebody
Yeah.
that you're like just on the same
Mhm.
wavelength.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, yeah, like this is a nice guy to like hang out with.
Yeah, and also like Monterey, like I mean, well, you drove her back to San Francisco on the first non-date first date, but like
Yes.
Yeah.
Monterey is like
Further,
it's further. It's like 1.5, 1:45
Yeah.
minutes.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then we saw the sunset in Carmel. We just sat
Yeah,
on the beach
yeah.
with everybody else, like all the other families that are just there, just waited for the sun to go down,
Wow.
and then we drove back.
So romantic.
Yeah, I drove you back.
But not romantic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Wait, you drove her back
Oh
to?
no!
Oh, there's more.
Yes, there's
there's
more.
Wow, that was a packed day
That was a very packed day because by the time we got home, by the time we got back to the area,
to Fremont.
it was already late.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Yeah, it was.
If you
already
watched the
late.
sunset in Carmel, it must
Yeah.
have been
And then why on earth did we decide it was a good idea
to drink,
to, to split a bottle of wine at your place?
I don't know.
What came over us?
Well, we were, like Steve wanted to watch a movie,
oh, was that it?
right? And then we were watching a movie, and we're like, hey, I have a bottle of wine. You want like? So we're like, okay, whatever, So we drank,
But you split an entire bottle of wine.
but we pretty much. I mean, there's only 4 glasses, right, to a bottle. So we
Did we
had,
only drink one?
we only had
bottle?
one bottle, I think.
Wow, lightweight.
Yeah, we only had one bottle.
And it was too late, and obviously he had been drinking, so it's not like he could drive.
Right.
And so he's just like, just stay here, whatever. I'll drive you home tomorrow. And I was like, sure. Then the next morning was hungover. Don't tell my kids this.
Wine hungover is a different hungover.
It was
2 glasses.
bad. I don't know.
I don't know. Like if you put it that way, it doesn't feel like that much. But like splitting a bottle of wine can
If it's
get
like
you a good.
full
Yeah, I can
glasses?
get you a good like.
Buzz.
Yeah.
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 And so woke up the next day. He's like, all right, we'll get pho before I drive you back to San Francisco.
Yeah.
Buzz like a really great hungover. Like
Yep.
And I thought it would help.
oh,
we're going through one of those like cloverleaf turns, and everything just
Oh no.
in his brand new car.
In the car?
In the car.
It was a week
As
old.
he was driving.
It was a week old.
Oh, I understand why you guys shared that look now.
And I so embarrassed. I
Oh
was
my
so sick
God.
and so embarrassed. And I was just like, this is it. This is the last time I'm ever going to hear from this guy. He's gonna send me like a
Like a bill?
detailing bill for this brand new car. Like, yeah, he's a guy and he's so proud of his new car. Like, I'm just never gonna hear from this guy again. He's
Mind
gonna,
you, I owned the car like a week.
yeah, I am gonna be that girl who threw up in his car, and that I'm just gonna be like a story that he tells other people
Aw.
from that.
That must have all like just ran through your mind. And
Yeah,
like...
it was horrible. No, because that was still like Fremont. Like we were still
Yeah.
getting onto
We were
880.
Yeah. So
But
I
it's
ended
still
up,
a good 40
Oh, yeah,
minutes to my apartment,
So I ended up pulling over.
so I could.
I
bar
had
some
all
more.
my baby wipes because
Yes.
remember, like when I was like riding my bike, I would always have baby wipes,
Yeah,
kind of clean up the car
as
with
best,
baby wipes.
as
Mhm.
best we could.
as best we could.
I'm just like curious how it went from that. Cause like, okay, like it's not your fault. You know, it wasn't your fault.
Yeah,
Like you did all the things. You stayed the night and like you know, had a breakfast the next day. Like, but what was that like for you? Cause we heard from Tita Mim. She's mortified.
Oh, I was mortified too. You know, it was a brand new car.
Yeah.
it's a $200 detail job.
Yeah. Well, it was a brand new car, but you know, like I think beyond that, I think it was more like, oh great, you know, like she's,
I got her sick.
you know, like she's now she's really embarrassed, and yeah, the rest of the ride back to your place was like almost quiet.
I wanted to crawl in a hole.
like she wouldn't talk,
I can't believe you drove all the
just
way from
like
Fremont to San
mortified, right?
Francisco.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
this is like my worst nightmare.
yeah.
Seriously.
So drove her home, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, walked her to her door, gave her a hug, and then I left.
Okay. But for you, it wasn't like, oh my God, I'm never gonna want to see her again, because that was her fear. That was her fear.
That that didn't even cross my mind. It was more like, holy cow, she's sick, right? You know, like she's really sick.
Yeah, yeah. So you were
So-
worried about her.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I called you the next day.
He did. He
You know?
did call me the next day to ask if I was
I'm
feeling
like, are
better.
you okay?
That's so
You know,
nice.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
There are
And
worse
then-
things than throwing up.
For sure. There's worse
somebody's
things
car.
than in your brand new week-old car.
Yeah. And like again, like I think our story is just kind of like the non-traditional, right?
I think for a very long time it was more like, like we were good friends who like we liked
Hanging out.
spending time with each other.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And like we would go on hikes, or we would walk around the city or do whatever together on the weekends.
Yeah.
It's just, it didn't feel like
Right.
it was gonna
Mhm.
be like a romantic thing necessarily.
Up until she went to Paris. You might want to ask her about that.
I went to Paris by myself. That was gonna be like my big, I'm just gonna treat myself
I
and
love that.
travel by myself because I'm single. I don't, I just want to experience the
Yeah.
world by myself. Although I did ask him, I was just like, do you want to come to Paris with me? Because part of me was like scaredy cat.
For
Also.
sure.
But I also had just gotten back from Peru.
And he's like, so there's no way I can take two big vacations
Right. Yeah.
in the same year. So I was in Paris for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Something like
I love that you did that.
I
That's
love
something I
it.
would do.
Yeah. Like I had an amazing time. And then I don't know. It was one of those, like, while I was there, I think I was thinking this would be cool if Rikki was here, because it's art and
Ah.
it's architecture and it's all of this stuff that we like
Yeah.
together. And I was
French
like,
has a-
he would
France has a lot of
totally
history.
geek out over all of this
Oh.
too. And
Yeah.
so
especially the architecture.
especially the art and
Right.
the photography, like just taking photos of stuff.
Absolutely.
And then when I came home, like he picked me up from the airport,
Wow.
and yeah, I don't know. Did you miss me while I
She
was
missed
there?
me.
I did.
Was that the same year that I had my birthday and I
Yes. So his birthday that year, so September,
September?
he said, my family always gets together for my birthday. They get together for everybody's birthdays. But would you like to come to my parents' house? You know, like his best friend was also gonna
Yeah.
go there.
Remember
noticed
Mira?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
so-
I said, hey,
Mira will
My
be
best
there.
my best
Steve
friend's gonna
will.
be
His
there.
roommate was gonna be there,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, if you want Filipino food, you can.
Yeah.
Because that's what's gonna be on the menu, and so that's the first time that I met everybody in your family, including you, because you were there.
I
Yeah.
don't remember this.
No,
And-
it's fine.
yeah. And Mira couldn't make it. Was Steve there?
Yeah.
Okay, Steve was there. So it was just you and Steve
Mm-hmm.
And then the
Right.
rest of the family.
And the rest,
and the
of,
rest
the
of the family.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the first time I met everybody, and like your grandpa, your papa, being who he was. He was just like, what do you miss from home? And I was like, curry, curry, right? Like it's
Yeah.
certain dishes that you miss that take a long time to make that I can't make. And he was
Right.
just like, all right, next time you come back, I'll make it for you.
No, come back next week.
Oh, come back next week. He
come back
said.
next week
Come
and I'll
back
make it
next
for
week.
Oh.
you. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. I've been asking for you to make it for me, and
That's right.
you never
love
do.
it. So what
There.
was your what was it like for you?
To me, it was comfortable.
Yeah, yeah.
right? Because it's
Filipino
just like
family.
it's just like being with your Filipino
Mhm.
family, and you just fall into the like, oh, auntie, like
Mhm.
your
Mhm.
your grandma and your papa are like auntie and uncle, and
Mhm.
so yeah, it just felt like going to
Yeah,
just like
normal.
a family party. And then I don't know when exactly. Yeah, I don't. There was like one night when Rikki just looked at me, and he was just like, he had a serious look on his face, and I was just like, oh. And he just said, I'm going to be really frank with you and really direct with you right now, which I hate. So I hate confrontation. I hate direct talk.
Oh, so like stomach dropped.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh, this is like bad, and he's just like, we've been spending a lot of time together, and this is almost verbatim. I'm at that point in my life where I want to be serious with somebody. And if this is not going to be a serious thing, maybe we shouldn't hang out with each other as much.
Mm-hmm.
I think like if I felt like we were just going to be friends, I probably would have been like, well, then yeah, I guess you're right. Maybe we shouldn't hang out if it's not going to be like anything. And so I think I just like sat there, whatever. And then he just went and like did whatever, and he was perfectly fine. But I just kept thinking like, okay, like what would life be like, or like weekends be like if I
Right.
didn't see him
Yeah.
all the time? Like, would I be mad? Like if he
Like, decided
ended
to
up
take a
like
step
showing
back,
up at the
yeah.
holiday party with some other girl, would I be upset? Or
Ah.
I don't know.
But
And so-
wait, when you asked that, Nano, it was already like you had already been kind of thinking about her like that.
I think so. I think so because I wasn't getting any younger at that point.
How old were you then?
I was like, so 2007, 2008. Yeah, I'd be 37
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
at the time. Not to say that I was looking to,
Right.
like marry somebody right then, because I'd be perfectly fine,
Mm-hmm.
just being single,
Right.
Yeah.
right? Kind of like, like the single uncle that would just be,
That would just
whatever.
That
Buy
took
me
you to
Build-A-Bear.
build a bear and
take you guys to
said,
build a bear, right?
get whatever you want, to my horror. It's just like, you sure?
for a birthday party that wasn't even my birthday.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh
So,
God, I love how we both
Yeah.
went there immediately.
So, yeah. So, like you start thinking about it and you're like, okay, well,
Yeah. Like, would
Kinda
it
like
be
Face the Music
fair
and
to
just
each
say,
other?
yeah.
Right, because like if it wasn't, it'd be nice to know. So then
Yeah.
you can, maybe
So there's no guilt if you,
right.
If you end
You
up
know, if you
seeing
have-
other
yeah,
people, or
right.
Mm-hmm.
like there's
Yeah.
no
Mhm.
misunderstanding, or
Yeah.
but back
Yeah.
then, I wasn't really, like,
actively
that would
looking.
that would be too much. It wasn't like I had somebody,
right.
that I was
that you were
seeing.
thinking of.
Yeah. Like, no,
Yeah.
it wasn't that. It was
But like
more
you
like,
guys had been hanging out by then enough time where it's like it could grow into
yeah, it's
something
like, hey, you know
else.
what? This is cool, but, if we are dating, then that's even probably cooler.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
Like
so-
is that really actually going to change much?
Yeah.
Right.
yeah,
I mean,
right,
it.
I think
it
it's more like just the
does.
commitment.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's just committing to that relationship
Yeah.
that you guys had built, or we had built over months, right?
Mhm.
And am I going to be able to see my life without, Melissa right there? It just dawned on me, and I'm like, okay, well, I thought
if she
about
doesn't
it.
feel the same
Yeah.
way, then this sucks.
Yeah, so it's like might as well
Yeah.
just face the music right now, right? Like
Yeah,
ask the
yeah.
question. If it works, it works. If it
Mhm.
doesn't, then it doesn't. So
And that's funny because like I think this happened like pretty soon after I came back from France. I think
I think so.
because I remember like half of me was just like, oh, I miss Ricky. It would be cool if he were here. But the other half of me was just like, I like this. Like I don't mind being single.
Yeah.
Like I don't like having to feel like I have to chase
Right.
being in a relationship. Like I'm
Mhm.
perfectly happy on my own. I can travel on my own.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
be an independent woman and take care of myself.
That's nice though, because it feels like he was like a supplement to the life that you already had. He wasn't like your whole life. It was like,
No.
you were
Right. Like I didn't need I feel like maybe that's why. Like I didn't need him to make my life
Yeah.
what
Complete?
it was.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
it make it better? Does it make it more fun? Like sure.
For sure. Yeah.
It's either this or that
Mhm.
because otherwise it's just leaving room for interpretation. I think neither of us like that sort of like weird gray area.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hence DTR.
Yeah.
So that was
That-
the DTR.
That was the
DTR.
first.
That was the
DTR.
first.
the first.
The first DTR.
Yeah, we had two.
Okay, yeah, because this
Right?
was kind of just like
Yes.
establishing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that we like each other, like like take the
We'd like to
relationship to,
continue.
the
Yeah, yeah,
next
yeah.
step or
Yeah.
whatever
Remind
that
you, this
is.
was around 2007, maybe early 2008.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Wow, right
yeah.
before the recession.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know why. That's just like
Oh.
I just associate.
Well, no, that too.
Well, because the recession the recession changed a lot of things. So, yeah, 2008 downturn started
Downturn started, the
fall.
mortgage crisis happened,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
Like obviously
real estate crash.
real estate crashed. Housing market was crazy.
Yeah.
And obviously that affects like working for an architectural firm that
Mhm.
affects you directly because
And you were on a visa.
I was on a work visa. I think it was May 2009.
June. It was during
May or
Valentine's Day.
June June 2009. He remembers that. My boss took me aside and he said, just so you know, like I know that your work visa is up in November, and I had the option if the company wanted to keep me, they could renew it for another 3 years, and then after that they could decide to like sponsor me for citizenship. But because of the downturn, like rightly so, they're mandated pretty much to hire Americans first, as they
Mhm.
should. And so they're like, we will not be renewing your visa when it expires in November.
Wow.
And so I just remember being like, okay, like what does this mean? Sure, I mean, can go home to the Philippines. Like my family is there.
Yeah.
Everybody except my sister. And that could be fine. But obviously I had to tell him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remembered.
By then, how long had you guys been dating?
Almost a couple of years.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I tried to call him, couldn't reach him. I went on BART and kept trying to call him, and I don't know, you're like out on a bike ride or something that
yeah.
day. And so I call his roommate, known as Steve,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just like, yeah, Ricky's not here, but I'm home. So if you want to come over and wait for him, that's fine. Yeah, so he came home and he's just like, what are you doing here? I was like, oh, Steve, let
Yeah.
me in. And he's like, what's wrong? And so I told him, I'm going to have to go home in November. And I think his first reaction after like the initial shock was like, no, you're not. And I was like, what do you mean? I have to go, like my visa is up.
Right.
He's like, all right, well, let's just think about it. And I was like, all right, I could go home. You can petition for me as a fiance to come back on a fiance visa, get married here when it's approved, and then whatever, 6 months to a year I'm back and we're married and we're back together. And then I don't know, was it like
No. I said no.
I think he'd heard, like he had friends
I have a
whose-
lot of friends that
whose wives are still in their home countries and they can't bring them over. They have kids already
Wow.
and they can't. He's like, I do not want you to leave and take the chance that you are not going to be allowed back.
Mhm.
I don't know why. Half in my mind, I was like, I'm still going home. Like,
Right. It's hard to keep your hopes up for something like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
And I was just like, like, how serious is he? Or is this?
I just remember that was a long night.
That was a long night
That was
for
a
both of
long
us
night.
because
Yeah,
we were just
like
talking
awake,
about
just
it.
Yeah.
talking through.
you know,
all
like
the different
the
scenarios,
logistics of it. So yeah, like we kind of vaguely talked about it, and then we went on a trip up to Lassen. You guys were
Yeah.
happened to be there at the same
Yeah.
time.
Oh, that
and-
was we were there with Mom and Scott.
yeah.
Oh my
Like you
gosh.
guys just happened to be there that same weekend.
So
we
funny.
didn't plan it that way.
Yeah. Yeah,
But we saw you
were-
guys on the trail going down to what's it called?
Bump as hell.
Right.
We saw you there.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Remember
I literally,
your mom like sprained her ankle in the snow.
She fell in the snow.
that's what I was gonna say. I'm like, I think I blocked that whole hike out of my mind.
It was kind of a it's kind of a crazy
It's
hike.
a crazy hike, and we were not prepared.
No, because there was still snow on the
There was
ground.
still snow on the ground.
We weren't prepared either because we came from the hot side.
Yeah.
Right. We went the
summer
other
of
side.
the
I know
mountain.
the weather over there is so crazy. You could
Yeah.
literally drive like half an hour, and it's like completely
Yeah,
different.
like 14 inches of snow, and then
Yeah.
the other side is like 80 degrees.
I did not know you guys were there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were there.
So then, what happened on that trip?
So we're driving back, and it's like what, a 4-hour drive
5-hour
back
drive,
yeah. Mhm.
here. I don't know. I don't know why. Still, a part of me was like resisting the fact that I think it's maybe also being. Of course, it's being scared, right, of the
Right,
entire
yeah.
situation. I think maybe my fear was like we're being forced into a decision as opposed to making the
Right.
decision for ourselves organically.
Uh-huh.
And like, did he feel pressured to say that we should get married for whatever? And in the car, he's just like, okay,
This is DTR.
this is
2.
DDR number 2.
Oh, okay. I'm glad we didn't skip it.
He's just like, okay, we just need to decide right now. Are we getting married? He's like, because I want to get married to you. Do you want to get married to me? And first,
No, I said.
what
I
did he
said-
say?
I said, I can totally see myself
Okay.
growing old with you.
Oh,
That is what he said.
That's what I said. That's what I said.
That is better.
Yeah. Yes, it is much more poetic.
Mhm,
Thank
yes.
you. And
Oh, Nano.
yes, he's secretly, well, not secretly.
Not secretly.
People always think that because I write and I'm a writer that I'm the romantic of the two of us. It's such a lie. Like
Yeah.
he's he's definitely more the romantic. But I don't know why. Like I just started sobbing when he said
Yeah,
that.
you did.
I was like genuinely scared. But here we are in a car on the freeway. I can't get out.
She had nowhere to go.
I hadn't.
Part two.
He did that deliberately.
Yeah.
No, that's a lot. That's a lot. Like,
Feeling a lot.
yeah, like you're about to lose your job.
Yeah.
and,
But
right?
then
Yeah.
I was gonna have to leave the life that I
Yeah.
had planned on living.
and that was like not the plan.
Not in the cards, and like not what I saw for myself or wanted for myself. I was gonna possibly lose somebody that I was in a relationship with, and if I couldn't come back, then what?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So there was a lot. There's
There's
a lot of
of feelings
emotions
happening
Yeah.
in that car.
feelings and stuff.
I know, and that's
inside
not a
that car,
short
right? Yeah,
drive.
yeah.
That's a pretty long
Yeah.
drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we just kind of thought, okay, after the crying, it's like, okay, if this is the plan, then we need to start moving towards
Mhm.
that. And so we're just like, all right, what do we need to do to make this happen? So needed to obviously tell my parents. So I called my parents and I said, here's the situation with my job. And my mom starts sobbing on the phone. And I was like, Mom, I told you I've been seeing somebody. And she's just like, I know. She's like, it's my baby getting
Mhm.
married. And I'm not there.
Just to add to the complexity of this, I haven't asked her to
You guys-
marry me
No.
yet. Right?
Yeah.
So we're kind of
So
like
we're just
putting
like
the
chugging
cart,
along with the plan.
We're putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
Well,
We're like-
you guys had like a time sensitivity, urgency.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
We had to
yeah.
do all of this like file papers by November. Rikki started emailing my parents and like introducing himself. And
Mhm.
then in early September, Rikki was like, I'm going to fly out to the Philippines.
Wow.
Again, adding to the complexity of the whole thing.
I haven't
Right
asked.
before that, you haven't asked, right before then, Papa had a heart attack.
That's right.
And Papa was in the hospital right before
You had your ticket and everything.
Rikki
though.
was about to leave.
Yeah.
And so, like, traditionally in Philippine culture, you have what's called the
Pamanhikan?
pamanhikan. And that's when the groom's family goes to the bride's family's home,
Mhm.
introduces themselves, and, like, kind of make a formal.
I did the Pamanhikan in October.
Right.
Because I proposed to you when?
September. But wait. Yeah.
September what? Date.
So bad he does this every year.
I don't know what's happening.
I don't know the
No,
date.
she always forgets.
Oh, and you remember.
Oh, I remember.
He remembers the date. I know it's before his birthday.
Yeah. My mind is like a steel trap when it comes to these dates.
And my
September 12th
So you're
was when
testing
I...
her right now.
Yes.
yeah.
September 12th was when I proposed to her.
So one day he's just like, it's been so stressful. Let's drive down to Carmel.
Oh,
Monterey and Carmel, right? And I was just like, yeah, sure, great. And so my first clue should have been we stopped at the El Pollo Loco on Coleman,
the one that's still there.
the one that's still there.
Yeah.
Randomly, there were these two police.
The
Cars.
parking lot was open.
Yeah, parking lot was open,
Mm-hmm.
Nobody there.
except for two police cars that had space in between them. And Ricky's like, watch this. He parks in between the two police cars. And I'm just like, dude, why? Why are
pulled
we
up-
doing
I pulled up
this?
between the two cop cars.
And
It was awesome.
like the cops are looking at us from inside El Pollo Loco being like,
Why?
why? Anyway, so we go in, we eat, whatever.
Oh, there was like no point to that. You just wanted to.
Well,
Oh.
he was carrying a backpack, which he usually does. His camera's in there and whatever. But the
Mhm.
ring was in there. And he was like, if I park between these two, the chances of somebody
taking
the backpack, because he'd be like, she'd be so weirded out if I take a backpack with me into El Pollo Loco.
Oh, wow.
So he parked it there. And then we went down to Monterey Aquarium, which was where he was originally going to propose to me at the
Right
site
by-
of our first selfie.
Yes.
By the tide pools.
But what
Mhm.
happened?
I got so nervous. And I was like dry heaving.
It was your turn to.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was dry heaving.
So he just said, excuse me, and he went to the restroom.
I did. And I was dry heaving, and all the other guys were like, are you okay?
Oh my gosh.
And here's the funny part. It's like there was really no reason to be nervous.
I know. I was just gonna say
Because
like
we were
we
already
talked
talking
about it.
We talked about it
and you
already.
didn't just like talk about it like normal couples talk about marriage. Like you guys had told your parents that this is the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and if you didn't get married, then
It'd be
things
super
would
weird.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thing.
And I was thinking, like,
She
what
can
if she
still
says
say no.
right?
Aw.
And now I've got this rock in my pocket, and I can't do anything about it right now.
Yeah.
So, anyways, it never happened. It didn't happen in Monterey Bay Aquarium.
Yeah, so we went down to Carmel, and he's like, we go down to the beach. And he's like, hey, let's go to that cove, like way over there. I'm just like, dude,
Because there was so many people.
there's, you know how it is. Like,
There's so
it's
many
a
people.
busy
It's
day.
Carmel, right
No
by the
way
beach,
you were
right?
gonna do it in front of all those
Yeah,
people.
I'm like,
And
there's
I was
no-
like, I'm not, why? Like, the tide's coming in. I don't want to get wet.
You had no idea.
I was being like a total like whiny brat at that point. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I was just like, no, like I just want to sit here. Can we just sit here? Why can't we just sit here? And he's just like, oh, let's go up there. And I'm just like, okay. And so we go up where at least it's like shaded by some trees. And then I turn around. And what were the actual words?
Oh, and there's this.
And there's this. He was just like, no. And I started to walk away, and he said, but babe, there's this. And I turn around, and he's on one knee, and he has like the ring. And I think as soon as I saw him on one knee, I don't even remember it. Like, I think it's just like
Blacked out.
tears, like blurring my vision.
Aw.
And then,
Yeah.
proposed. And then there's
Did you
this.
say yes?
I think eventually.
So that was like early September,
Mhm.
right? And then
First week of October.
first week of October 4th,
He remembers
I-
all these dates
I flew down to the Philippines
for 3 days.
for 3 days.
Oh wow. Quick
Yeah.
trip.
Yeah.
It was a very, very quick
Because he
trip.
literally thought, I'm going to go there, do the pamanhikan, and then come back. And yeah, like your grandparents couldn't go because your grandpa was in the hospital. And so his aunt and uncle, who live in the same city as my parents,
Tito Jonas
and Tita Peach
and Tito
were the
Peach.
ones who
They were the
moved.
ones who
Yes.
stepped in.
Oh,
Right.
nice.
Yes.
Mom and dad.
Like they were
Yeah.
the stand-in. So here's where the funny Filipino network thing is.
Yeah.
Tito Jonas and my uncle used to play together when they were teenagers, or like, you know, hang out together when they were teenagers.
Oh my gosh.
So as soon as, you know, they said like, oh, well, who's Ricky gonna come with? And they said, oh, you know, his mom's cousin is Dr. Jonas's wife. And then
Wow.
they're just like, oh, okay. And it became like, well, we know them.
We're just
so,
gonna hang out
it's
now.
just like, it's not
Yeah.
as uncomfortable because at least you know each other. Yeah. So he goes in with his aunt and uncle. They meet because it's my grandparents' house at the time. So my grandparents, my brother, who's upset because my parents did not tell him until that day that that's what the day was for.
Oh.
And he's 12 years younger than me. So he's,
Right. Yeah.
you know, my parents, obviously, my uncle and aunts, or every cousins.
Oh yeah,
everybody was
was
there.
Everybody was there.
The entire like Santos
wow.
clan
Everybody was there.
descended
right?
onto the
And
house.
mind you, this is October, so
it's hella hot.
hot, humid. I'm nervous.
Sweating
I was wearing a
bullets.
long sleeve shirt
Why?
tucked in.
Oh, because
I
you want to
wanted
look
up.
nice.
You have to
wanted to
dress up.
nice, right? Your mom was like, "Oh, Ricky's really warm," and they were all okay. They were all fine.
Right. You
You
are
know,
not
like
used
not
to
I
used
was
to it
not
anymore.
in a good spot, right? So they said, "Nate,
My
why
brother.
don't you bring in
The
a
extra fan.
an extra fan?"
Uh-huh.
So Nate's like, without saying any word, got up, brought down a fan, plugged it in, turned it on, and faced it towards himself.
Just having none of this.
He was having none of
Oh,
it.
he was mad.
He was
He was
upset.
mad. I think by the time my brother was a little old, like Caleb's age, like
Mhm.
my sister was already in college.
Right.
So for most of him growing, it was just the
It
two
was
of
just
us.
you, yeah.
And so he was like, why? He told my parents, like, why did you not warn me that this dude is going to come over
right.
and then, you know, like whatever,
Yeah.
taking over my sister's life?
So you're still sweating.
I'm still sweating. So here I am, like chatting with her mom and her dad. And, I was nervous.
Yeah.
Right? I was nervous. All eyes were on me. And I was
Just pouring
talking and I
sweat.
was like sweating profusely. I mean, it
Aw.
was buckets. Tita Peach realized that I was sweating so bad. She hands me a Kleenex. So I was sweating. So I was wiping my face with Kleenex. I wasn't dabbing. I was literally just wiping.
Right, like get the sweat off me.
Get the sweat off me, like my neck and everything. I have a goatee. As I'm talking to mom, right,
Yeah.
her face was like contorting into like, what is going on? Like she didn't understand what I was saying. Like her eyebrows were furrowed, and I'm thinking, wow, I must be really messing up because I have no clue.
You're
what they're
blowing
talking-
it.
I
I'm
know.
blowing it. So I said, I said, I wish my parents were here, but I'm really lucky to have my aunt and my uncle. And I looked over and I looked at Tita Peach, and Tita Peach just had this horrified look on her face. And I'm thinking, oh my God, her too. And then that's when Tita Peach said, I am so sorry. My nephew's really nervous right now. That the entire Kleenex sheet disintegrated on his face. So she starts picking the pieces of Kleenex that is stuck on my goatee, on my face, and everything.
Gosh.
That was fun. That was quite embarrassing, but it was okay. At least I'd like to think I kind of won them over, but
For
you know,
sure.
yeah. But
I mean, you like
I mean, obviously they said it was
My charm,
it was
yeah.
fine.
it was
Yeah.
But I think they also understood and they appreciated that he didn't have to go
right, yeah.
all the way there
well, I
and
did
do it.
Yeah, I did. I did tell your dad, Mr. Santos, you might not be able to make it here in the U.S., but next year at this same time, you will have the opportunity to walk her down the aisle
Aw.
and give her away because we plan on
get
going
married.
back and getting married over there,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So I think he appreciated that.
Oh my gosh, I told you guys, right? At your wedding, I was like bawling.
Oh yeah,
I don't know, like
I
I was
remember.
I was like 2009. I was in 8th grade.
Yeah,
I was Sophia's
Sophia's
age.
Yeah.
I don't know like what came over me. I think that was the first time I'd ever like been just overtaken by like happy tears,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know? And I was so young. It was so weird.
but it's also like like that's your nanu. Like
yeah.
that's like a really close family member that you've been
Mhm.
able to like attend the wedding of
And that was the first time I had been to a wedding that wasn't, like the traditional
in a
like
big
church.
Catholic church.
So I was like, what's happening? Like, what is this? Is this a wedding?
It was a
Yes.
mob wedding.
It was flash mob wedding
It's a flash mob wedding.
What does that mean?
because
See?
we wanted to get married in the park and we called the park service and we said, hey, if we wanted to get married in any of these like smaller gardens at Golden Gate Park, we knew we'd have to maybe get a permit, and they're like
Right.
$600
For the whole day.
for the day. And I'm like, but I don't want a day. I want an hour.
Barely.
An hour tops.
Barely, yeah.
Right? Like it's a 15-minute ceremony. We'll
Yeah.
take some pictures and we'll leave. So we just showed up with the minister.
We all just showed up.
And
Are you just realizing that right now?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
all just showed up.
we all just showed up.
You guys didn't get in trouble or anything.
Well,
Oh,
we did.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Park service
We have
came.
photos of Park Service, like,
Oh my god.
Coming
I was
back
too busy
twice.
crying. I
Yeah.
don't know.
you know,
We would have
approving
paid
of-
like $100.
Yeah, I would have paid
you know?
$100, $200,
Yeah,
right? You know, for
$600
like
is
15
like-
minutes.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to pay for an entire day.
That I'm not going to use.
Yeah. And that entire day, people are still coming in and out.
Right.
Right,
Right.
so
You don't
do
like
you-
you
do you
didn't like
close that?
rent out the whole park
Yeah, do you close
No.
that place for an entire day? No, you don't. So yeah, Park Service came in.
during like the ceremony
Yeah,
itself.
One-
They waited until the ceremony was
they
over.
waited until
Oh.
the ceremony was done.
So nice of them.
And then they left, gave me a lecture, left, and then came back again when we were taking pictures.
Uh-huh.
And she said, you know, it's
I
like,
told
hey,
you
you
guys
know,
to
I told
leave."
you to leave. You can't have ceremonies here. We're like, we're not having ceremonies. We're taking our pictures.
Yeah, like the ceremony's
So-
over.
Yeah.
You saw it end.
Yeah. So if you're still intent on giving us a ticket, then just give it to me now and you can leave.
Yeah. Like
She never did.
even if they did give you a ticket, it would have been like less than $600
Probably.
Yeah,
probably.
probably.
And I was like grinning like an idiot. I was like, I don't care, lady. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I just got married.
Oh my god, that's so annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
yeah.
funny.
But you know, like that
It's
made
still a
for
funny
very
story.
interesting day.
Yeah.
Right? It's not your traditional. It's not your
None of
traditional
this is
thing,
your
right?
traditional
Nothing
thing.
was traditional.
We were on a budget.
We were a
Yeah.
very, very strict budget.
Okay, so the video cut out. So
Are we back?
we are back.
Oh, we're back. Okay.
Note to self, I have to plug in my phone while we record because
It died.
it died. what we had talked about before the phone died is that like the journey itself was really stressful because like you guys got married. This was like October, but you know, you spent the rest of the year essentially filing the paperwork and like getting interviewed and trying to prove your relationship that it exists and stuff.
It wasn't a marriage for convenience. Yeah.
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 Although, I mean, our lawyer told us, like, our first meeting with him,
He's like, I know you guys.
he was just like, you know, I've been at this a while. When people walk through the door, I can tell
You
who's
can tell.
faking it and
Yeah.
who's not.
Wow.
But he was
Mhm.
just like, otherwise, he's like, yeah, you can tell within seconds whether people are lying or not.
For
and-
sure.
Actually, the funny thing about that whole thing too was we also just saw the proposal. Ryan
That was the
Reynolds.
year that
That was the year that the
Yeah.
movie came out.
Oh
and
my
so
god.
everybody asked, is it like that? Did they? I mean, you
I
know,
mean, of course, people are curious.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
like
there were no
you know,
cats or dogs that were picked up by Falcon.
Yeah,
you know.
no. But I mean, even like the interview process, we came in with like, you can bring like supporting material, and we had like,
Yeah.
you know, a whole thick thing of like supporting material. And like, hey, we have more photos and we have whatever. And the lady was just like, yeah, that's fine. But, you know, you guys are okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like basically, they're like, you guys have nothing to worry
Yeah,
about.
like
No.
Yeah.
we're not hiding anything.
So then, when did all of that like officially get?
I think like April, I got my
I think so.
Oh my
like,
gosh! that's a long
permission to
time.
work.
Yeah. Wow.
But then there
okay.
was no work.
But then there was no
Yeah.
work.
This was
Yeah.
2010.
2010.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
So still recovering from the recession for
Yeah.
sure.
For sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And now, 16 years later.
16 years later.
Yeah.
16 years. Like, we were just saying, like, we've almost been together like 20 years.
So I have maybe like a couple more questions for you guys. I haven't recorded very many people yet, but you guys are the first married couple that I have. And so I'm curious, like, what is the structure of your guys' household? Like, who does what? What does like a typical weekend look like now? Like 16 years later, you guys are married, you have 2 kids, 2 very busy kids.
Yes. I
Yeah.
mean, we talked of before we got married was
Finances. We talked about that early.
we did talk about that early.
Yeah.
We talked about kids early, like how many we want to have.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we talked about like chores.
Even traditions, like
Or like,
Like-
do you celebrate, like Christmas? How do you celebrate Christmas?
Yeah.
Do you want your kids to believe in Santa and not believe in Santa?
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Because
Yeah.
I didn't growing up.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was not really a thing in my house, but
Yeah.
it's very much so for your family.
Yeah,
a very big
it
deal.
was.
And then like chores. Like I told him outright, like I hate doing laundry.
Oh, really?
I hate it. I will sweep, I will, cook, but I hate doing laundry. There's something about it that I just is not fun for me.
I did laundry for the first few months of our relationship.
Uh-huh.
Till
Up
he
until-
shrunk my favorite sweaters.
Yeah.
Right. There's an
Because for
art
me,
to
it was
it.
like
He
It's
dry
laundry.
cleans. He dry cleans.
And I dry clean. See, I dry
Oh,
clean.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So
right.
he just threw everything in the dryer, and I was like, "My dude, you can't do that."
Yeah.
So he'll do half
Yeah.
of it. He would before the kids. He would do half of it, and then he'd be like, "You pick out what goes into the dryer and what doesn't."
I feel like a lot of people can relate to this.
And so,
So who does the laundry now?
We do it separately.
yeah, we do it separately. The kids do their own laundry.
Oh, nice. So everyone's just
Yeah.
responsible for their own laundry.
Yes.
Actually, like, yeah, we'll show it to you. We actually have a
Uh-huh.
family digital calendar.
Is
that
that what the
has-
iPad thing over there is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that connects to our phones and
Yeah.
Wow.
Sophia's phone now
Yeah.
that she's old enough to have one.
So everybody sees everybody's schedule. They have chores. They earn points for doing those chores,
Wow.
which then adds up so that they can get rewards. If they reach a certain number of points, then
Can go to the bookstore.
we can go to the bookstore and they can buy
Nice.
whatever books they want.
So you guys both or all do laundry separately.
Yeah,
You cook, Ethan?
99% of the time I cook.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I only have like
breakfast.
a few go-to dishes.
Yeah, and then dishwashing. I think now we've gotten to the point everybody washes their own dishes or just puts it
Yeah.
in the dishwasher.
Yeah.
Well, plus the fact that they get rewards too. For,
I know.
oh,
you know,
yeah.
So now
like,
they want to
part
do
of the
it.
chore. Now they want to do it,
Oh,
right? Which is
wow.
actually great. But
yeah.
usually, and you know this, I try to keep everything
Yes.
spick span.
Ricky is
Yeah.
the if you put your used glass down, it's gone by the time you
Yeah.
take a second look because he's
Yeah.
already put it in the dishwasher.
It's not like
It's gotten a little looser
Yeah.
with two kids because
right.
I think
because
at
there's
some
only so
point,
much you can do.
yeah. And I told him, like you have to pick your battles.
Yeah.
At some point.
yeah, because I'm the type of person that if the bed is not done and I'm about to go to bed, I will make the bed and then I will sleep in it.
So if you look at the chore chart, I only have one chore, and it's to make the bed, and that's the only way I get points.
Yeah, so it's like
It's important. It's
Yeah.
really
So
important.
it's like
That's
bed-
like your non-negotiable.
you know,
Bed
but-
making is serious.
that's the first task of the day that you
Yeah.
get to accomplish, right? That's
Mhm.
one thing that you
Mhm.
can check off the list.
Mm-hmm.
In the morning,
He'll make his side of the
I'll
bed
make my side of the bed.
with me still in it.
Yeah, she's still in it, and I'll make
Oh my
my
God,
side of the
He
bed.
makes your job easier.
I don't know. Like people always ask, like chore wise or task wise, like how do you guys divide things? And I think for the most part, it's 50-50.
Yeah, it sounds like
Yeah.
it.
I do the finances though.
Mm-hmm.
He's the CFO
CFO.
of the household.
Yeah, but she
I'm
approves
CEO.
it.
Yeah.
She approves it. So CFO can only go so far.
Yeah. Yeah, no one knows about the CFO.
Yeah.
Everyone only knows about the E
Yeah.
CEO.
Yeah. This is actually really important, for a lot of couples. There needs to be an understanding about finances because that is the cause and the root of all arguments. Most arguments.
Yeah.
Right? I think because of me, the nature of my job,
Mm-hmm.
that I oversee money,
He's a
right?
project
As
manager.
a project manager. I think it was just inherently natural for me to be able
Yeah.
to do so. Basically, I said, okay, so this is my idea. You have your own checking account. I do have mine. But we have a joint checking account and we have a joint savings
Savings.
account,
Mm-hmm.
right? So every month as we get paid, you get paid twice a month. For every paycheck that you get, we set aside money that goes directly to our checking account and that pays for everything.
Like bills and
Bills,
stuff. Okay.
everything, right?
So then your personal checking account is just your own spending.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, your own spending. But anyways, just knowing that you guys have that understanding that there is a communal
Pot.
pot
Mhm.
of money, and then whatever you do with your money, yes, that is totally up to you.
Yeah.
Right? Not to say that ours is better than the others, but
Mhm.
um,
But it works for you guys.
But it works for us, right?
Yeah.
And as long as there's a system that works for you,
Mm-hmm.
right, and your partner,
Yeah. Right.
So-
and
but-
that seems like equitable because,
Yeah.
like finances change, like as your job situations change.
Yeah, and
or-
Yeah.
one partner might make more than the
Right.
other, right?
exactly. Again, making sure that first and foremost the responsibilities to the household is actually
Mhm.
met.
Met.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Before anything
that's-
else.
Yeah, before anything else.
And that was that established early on, like before kids too?
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Like
Oh, yeah.
before we got married.
Before we got
talked about
married.
it,
Oh wow.
And I think it's just
how we are.
yeah, like how we are.
Right. I mean, it
right?
sounds like that's how you guys kind of were in general. across, like not just with finances, but like with everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
yeah.
Nano, you asking the DTR one,
Yeah.
I know.
you know?
We just
Exactly.
Yeah, we just like to know that we're on the same
Page.
Yeah.
page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know.
and there's nothing to be like, to like hide or like be guilty
Yeah.
about. Like, okay, I get teased that I bring a few too many books into the house, but
Sure, a lot of people can relate to that.
at the end of the day, like Ricky will just be like, it's your money, and there's also an element of trust that like you are spending your money responsibly,
Right.
You're not taking out like a $20,000 loan and
Yeah.
not repaying it.
For sure. For sure.
Right. Right.
Like a $20 book here and there is like,
Yeah.
yeah. It doesn't
You're
break. It
being
doesn't break the
fiscally
bank,
responsible
Yeah.
for yourself as well
Mhm.
as for the household, right?
Yeah.
Because ultimately, like, you're married, you're in a partnership, and if anything, you're liable for the other person's.
Right. You guys'
That at the end
finances
of the
are like,
day-
you know.
Right? Yeah. It's intertwined, right?
Yeah.
So
I think they usually say it's like at the 10th year of marriage that
Mhm.
things start sort of like mellowing out, and I
Mhm.
think that was true because the first 10 years like, we have kids,
Yeah. Yeah.
we're adjusting, and
Mm-hmm.
marriage is a long haul kind of thing.
and we're still working on it.
And it's
you
like
know?
it's a choice is what I'm like
Yeah.
learning. It's a choice every single day to like
Yeah.
continue to, grow and commit and
Yeah.
check in and
Absolutely. Absolutely. And not to say that we don't have arguments, right? Because we do.
Yeah.
Just like any ordinary couple.
just
Yes.
like any
right?
couple, yeah.
And yeah,
know?
it can be about like the like really big things, or it can be about like really stupid things. Like
Yeah. Like the other day, I'm like, hey, obviously this is an issue. We need to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing you would want is to like completely shut down,
Yeah.
because then that doesn't really resolve anything
Yeah.
either, right? So
I think
Um,
his rule is always he doesn't like to go to sleep upset.
Mm-hmm.
I unfortunately can hold a grudge.
I'm like
so I can go on being upset for as long as I want to.
Right, but he doesn't let you.
when it comes to like getting mad, it's like that of a goldfish, right? Like literally, like a few minutes later, I'm okay, right?
That is
like,
so funny. This is like a side note, but Brad was watching Ted Lasso today, and they talked about how goldfish have like of all animals
The
have the
shortest.
shortest
shortest
memory, and
memory.
I didn't know that. And for you to make that
yeah,
comparison
like,
right now,
because
it's-
I'd be upset. Everybody knows I'm upset,
yeah.
right? But then after that, like I'd be like kind of like
Like 5 minutes later,
yeah,
you're fine.
5-10 minutes. I'm fine.
Yeah,
right?
the
I'm
emotions,
fine.
like, you metabolize
yeah.
them really
Yeah.
fast.
yeah, and we have like trigger words,
Oh, yeah.
and she knows if I use those trigger words, she knows I'm really upset.
His is the best trigger though.
What is my trigger word?
And I get sometimes I know when I'm like pushing things and I'm like right there at the line, but sometimes it just the way I am, I'm just like, how far can I actually take this if I want to win, or if I want to win the argument? And Ricky will just look at me and say, sweetheart. And he never calls me sweetheart. It's always babe. It's always, hun, whatever. Sweetheart is the word that's just like, this is it.
Oh, that is
You-
interesting.
Push it a little bit more, and it's just
So it's kind of like like, hey, I'm really upset, but I'm still gonna call you, like,
Yeah.
like,
everybody's like, he
I
calls you
know.
sweetheart when he's really mad. I'm like, yeah, that is the blinking red light, like this and no further. Like, stop what you're doing.
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
not a term of endearment. It's like a warning.
yeah,
But that's like good though. You're letting her know before you get to that point.
Yeah,
Do you have a trigger word, either, Mims?
no, I don't think you do.
no,
No, she just
Yeah.
yeah, I'm the like I shut down when I'm upset
Mm-hmm.
kind of person.
Yeah.
like I know, because like I couldn't even give her a kiss. Like I could be upset, and I will still give you a kiss.
Right.
I will still give you a hug. But for her, it's like
Like, nope.
she's like,
Please,
Do not touch me.
please
Yeah.
come back later.
Yeah.
yeah,
Give me
out of
time.
service right now. Yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah. Your trigger word is walking away.
Silence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like,
That's such a common thing, though. I feel like most relationships have like okay, let's talk about this now. Let's be direct and let's, figure this out before we go to sleep. Let's not go to bed angry.
Yeah.
And then the other side is which I very much resonate with, is I can't
I just
right
cannot
now.
deal with this.
Maybe
right now.
tomorrow, maybe even in like an hour.
Yeah.
But
I can't talk to you
I
right
can't
now.
talk right now. If I talk right now, I'm not gonna.
We'll both regret it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want me to say something that I don't actually mean.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think
Right.
it comes down to like, how people process their emotions.
Yeah.
because you, like, from what I'm hearing, you process your emotions like very much in the moment, and like you can identify it, and you can just like, you're not,
Get it out.
you can,
Yep.
yeah, you just like let it out and metabolizes really quickly. But like, you know, some people, it takes, like, we feel,
Yeah.
we know we're feeling something, but can we talk about it? No.
Yeah.
We need to sit on it. We need
Right.
to write.
Yeah. Or
Mhm.
like sometimes I get upset. I'm not even sure like
Yeah.
why exactly.
Like,
I'm
how can
upset.
I even like explain this to somebody else if I don't even know what's
Because
happening?
he'll be like, why is this such a, like, why did this make you upset?
Right.
And it's probably not even like the surface thing. Like the more I think about it, it's like it's not even that.
Yeah.
It's
it
more
rarely
like
is.
it was this.
Yeah.
And that's hard to say in the moment.
Yeah. Because emotions are activating. What I've come to learn is that, like, when you get upset, it's either like a really big thing or it's something that's been building,
Yeah.
you know? But it sounds like you guys catch it before it ever gets there.
And yeah, and even back when we were dating, it was like that idea of a snowball effect
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
something that I always
not wanna
was
do.
very,
Mhm.
very careful. I don't want to be in that situation.
Yeah.
Where like you're
Where-
caught by surprise.
Yeah,
that
and
like
you
something
don't-
is really
You think everything is okay,
Yeah.
and
Same.
then one day it'll just all come to fruition, and then it's too late.
right.
Mhm.
Like the
It's
other
too late.
person's just like, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Right,
you know,
right.
like,
yeah.
this
And it's
isn't
like,
working.
where did this come from?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, for me, it's like, okay, there's an issue. Let's button it up. Let's nip it in the bud right away.
Yeah. And I think that's what like us shutdowners kind of need sometimes, because like
Yeah.
we can get so, and
In
then we
our
just
own
walk.
heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we just, you know, the next day we're like, oh, we don't have to talk about it. Okay. Like, let's just, you know, pretend that everything's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Sweep it under the rug. But it's like, no, like, because that's how the snowball effect starts. Is that like,
Because
Absolutely.
it happens again.
it happens
and
again, nothing gets resolved, and then like it just builds and builds and builds, and then all of a sudden it's just like this huge
Yeah.
blow
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
And you're at that point. There's nothing.
Nobody
can
there's
do
no
anything about
turning
it.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's just not worth it. It's not
no,
worth it to get
it's
there.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, it's absolutely not.
Oh,
so
I appreciate that
yeah,
you guys do
so and then slowly but surely we're seeing it manifesting
that.
with the
Mhm.
kids, but
Yeah.
they see.
Like
they
how
know-
we deal
yeah.
with
Yeah,
things.
kids are very observant.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And like Melissa said, you know, like they're their own
Very much their
personalities,
own
very much
people.
their own personalities. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But like you're hoping that you're showing them the right things, right?
Yeah.
And they're taking those right things.
Mhm.
Or
and-
I think the thing that's different from like our parents' generations is like you know, like you apologize to your kids. Like there are days like I
Yeah.
have horrible days,
Yeah.
and I will, you know, unfortunately sometimes I do take it out on the kids when I'm
Mhm.
really frustrated and I
You're
don't
human.
mean to. But yeah, like letting them know like I'm sorry, I'm having a really bad day,
Right.
or you know, like this happened at work and I'm sorry, it's not your fault.
Mhm.
You know,
Oh, that's amazing.
it's like it's hard, but it also lets them know that like yeah, like your emotions can get the best of you,
Mhm.
and as long as you're honest about it
Mhm.
and you
There's
talk to
nothing
people
wrong with
about it.
owning up about it.
Yeah,
You know?
like it's a natural part of being human.
So I was in college when both Noah and Caleb were born.
Mm-hmm.
And then I lived in Thailand for like,
Right.
you know, 6 months. And then I moved to San Diego.
Yeah.
And so, like, I mean, I got to see Sophia grow up a little bit. But then by the time I moved back here, Caleb and Noah were like 5 or 6,
Yeah.
you know? So I missed like the baby years.
Mhm.
It's been so fun living here now and just like watching them grow
Seeing
up. Like,
them.
Noah's like a little man now. Like,
Oh,
he-
yeah.
like the way that he talks, and like Caleb is like, I always thought that he was gonna grow up shy, but he's not shy at all.
He's not.
Yeah,
No, he's not, and he's not shy about his feelings either.
I love that.
He sees
that
it from
from
yeah,
you.
he sees it from me. Like it's okay, you know, like it's
Mhm.
okay for you to. It's not a sign of weakness by any means, you know. Like it's
Yeah.
just, and it's a little different because generationally, right? Like let's face it, like the old, you know, like your parents,
Mhm.
my parents, for
Yeah.
for men to show
Strong emotion.
it's a little
Yeah.
different, and it's just like not so much the sign of the times, but you know, like we just learn. You know, we just learn
Yeah,
from
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Or like how we, you know, we talk about like how we wanted our kids to be.
Mhm.
You know, like for Sophia, it's like, okay, I knew like growing up, you know, there are different expectations of a girl, especially if you're growing up like in the Philippines, or
Yeah.
it's a little bit more patriarchal, a little bit
Mhm.
more conservative and old fashioned, and the mentality that like you don't want to excel so much that you might make other people look bad by comparison or
Mhm.
worse by comparison. But, you know, like here it's just like if you're good at something, like celebrate it. Like don't
Yeah.
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 don't be ashamed of it,
Yeah,
or don't
don't,
hide
like,
it. Don't
don't
try to
shrink
dumb
yourself.
things down.
Yeah.
Yeah, which, you know, I've always felt like I had to do growing up. But,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know,
Well, they're
But-
growing into such amazing little
yeah,
people.
they're like, like, and they're also learning from other people, right?
Mhm.
Like the family and everything, and kind of like picking bits and pieces of that, and
Yeah.
kind of like rolling it into their own little personalities. So
Yeah.
which is really good. So
I think that's the thing I'm grateful for, you know, like despite my family being in Texas or in the
Mhm.
Philippines, you know, that like your family is here and you are such a tight knit family and you guys are, you know, so supportive of each other. Like I do feel homesick every so often. Obviously I
Yeah.
always miss my family, but then, you know, like it's less so when like everybody is, you
Yeah.
know, within like
We're finding any excuse to
Yeah.
like get
to
together.
get together all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Okay.
But-
So to wrap things up, I want to ask a rapid fire question.
Oh God.
I know that you guys talked about earlier that you initially bonded over like ancient like Egyptian
Mhm.
civilizations and stuff, and like museums and aquariums and stuff like that. But like I guess maybe now in this day and age, what is something that you guys bond over?
I think we are still very much like Monterey, for instance.
Mhm.
The aquarium's still huge. For
And you
us,
guys
right?
go to Slow all the time.
and we go to Slow all the time.
Yes.
For us, it's like, I think this year we've been like 4 or 5
Maybe.
times, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people ask us, it's like, why do you guys go down there all the time? And for one, I think the most important thing is that everybody actually enjoys the trip going down there, right? And being down there. And Melissa said
Mhm.
it best. It's like it no pun intended, but it's a
It's a
slower
slow
pace.
weekend.
It's a slower pace. Like
Yeah.
we can drive down there, right? We don't need to stay at the high
Mhm.
high end hotels or anything like that. We could go to the beach,
Yeah.
right? And
You guys are
literally just
kayaking.
Yeah.
yeah, and
kayaking.
literally just like let the day go by and like go back to the hotel. There's no need to hurry up for the next thing that we need to do, and it's like, oh hey, you know what, let's try a different restaurant.
Yeah,
right?
well,
So for
there's
us it's like that's the other thing that kind of like bonds us as a family, right? Like the ability to be open to trying different
new things.
new
Yeah.
things to eat
Mhm.
right now that
I
the kids are
know.
like
And they've always had like such like open palates. Like
Yes.
Caleb, my God, was
Yeah.
eating like uni
yeah
at like
yeah
4.
He was, like, 4.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. and it's expensive,
He's
right?
an
let's-
expensive taste.
let's
He was
face
like,
it.
it's just $4. And like,
Yeah,
my dude,
it's like,
that's
yeah.
$14. Yeah.
And I
have
think
these-
like
we'll
the
do
whole
that. Kayaking.
outdoorsy, like now that
Mhm.
they can go on hikes,
Yeah.
right? Like they love doing that. When
Yeah.
we were in Slow.
I mean, it just feels like a break from the hustle bustle
How
of
busy we are.
you
when
know. And
we're really-
here.
like you guys are well, they're all busy. Feels like at least there's like a different thing every single day or something. So it's
Yes.
like now I mean, I'm sure you guys, spend time as a family during the week, but like those
Yeah,
times it's
but,
like it's just there's no
No,
interruption.
because like Sophia comes home like 2 days out of the week. She comes home at 9 o'clock.
Wow.
But yeah, we kind of find like these small little things and try to find like things that contribute to like a really good core memory for them, right?
I love that.
Yeah.
And you guys are just going to continue making
Yeah.
more of those memories.
And there's always going to be like
Yeah.
new things that
yeah.
that we would try.
I hate to.
It's late.
It is late.
It's
Yeah.
7:30. Oh wow, it's 7:30.
7:30. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it was so fun though, honestly. Thank you so much, honestly, and
Yeah.
taking the time to share all of this with
No,
me.
this was fun.
Super fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you all for watching and listening. But you can catch episodes of Ordinary Love every other Tuesday, and you can follow us on @OrdinaryLovePodcast on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Yay! Thank you
Awesome.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, and that's a wrap.